Hello and welcome to Get Focused with Bill Kay and Gina Fay. Hello, Gina. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you, Bill?
I'm doing well. I know we're recording this just right after the Thanksgiving weekend.
Yep.
Uh, how was your weekend? Was it good?
Yeah, it really was. I had company up until the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and then she headed out to have a few more adventures on her own. Lovely independent spirit she is. And yeah, it was great. And then really on Sunday I had the day to just be alone, which was so beautiful.
Yeah, just decompress, right?
Decompress and just chill in the silence and not have to talk and not have to listen, and it was great. How about you? Are your house back to normal?
Yeah, I mean, the chaos of the busy travel,
Yeah.
children flying halfway across the country to go visit other family and then the weather hit in the Midwest, so it
Oh,
caused massive
yeah,
delays.
yeah, that's right.
Um, then everyone else was here on Thanksgiving. We had a really good dinner, and it's just nice being together. And like I sent you the pictures of everyone sitting around playing Jenga.
Like, yeah.
It's interesting what a little game, a simple game causes. So everybody has a lot of fun. We
Yeah,
we like doing the board games and
I love
different
it.
things.
You know, I love
It's
playing.
yeah,
I love to, and especially to meet new people over an activity like playing games. You get
yeah.
to know them in a way that you wouldn't over drinks and canapes or hors d'oeuvres or, I just
No,
really
I agree.
prefer so, but before we go on, we just have to acknowledge for the people that were hoping to hear JF Benoist,
Yes.
that he had a little bit of a conflict of interest, and or he actually had to help his wife move out of the house that they're in right now. She thought she had enough help, but she didn't. But he was terribly apologetic, and was sad that he couldn't be with us. But he will be with us next week. So really, I encourage everybody to tune in. I've been doing. I've been having the opportunity to do work with him. Watch him work, doing group therapy,
Oh,
and
wow.
I I mean, yeah, yeah. He's really really powerful, and he's a change agent. He really is. When we are collaborating, so he takes my input, I take his input. I like, how did I find myself here? Really, how did I
Uh,
find myself here?
well, absolutely. Everything just like how we met
Mm-hmm.
many, many years ago now. And
Yeah,
what brought you to Hawaii? Everything comes
everything
together.
comes together. And I didn't have to plan it. I didn't. In fact, I think to some degree, if I had like sat down and tried to plan it out, I might have gotten in my own way. I might have interfered with the thing unfolding. You know,
Yes, I understand that. And it's interesting you bring that up because that's one of the things that I wanted to discuss with you is the importance or lack of importance maybe or non-importance of goal setting for we're coming to the end of a year. Everybody starts to talk about New Year's resolutions, right? But in the business realms, a lot of people start their projecting, their planning, what steps they need to take, what they want to accomplish first quarter, second quarter, so on and so forth, as well as reflecting back on what transpired over the past year and changes and good or bad or review a year in review, right? um, I feel that it's important to an extent, but I don't feel, just like you just was stating, I feel like there's a fine line.
the therapist in me is just going to jump in
Go ahead.
and ask you, where do you feel those things in your body? Because I don't think those are things
Okay.
you feel. I think those are things that you think
Yes, they are things that I
or
think.
believe. But I think an inaccurate, really, to say I feel that this is important. Where do you feel that?
Well, I feel it in my mind. How about that?
But that's a thinking, not a feeling.
Yes. So I think these things, and I
Yeah,
think these
yeah,
things because of experience,
yeah, yeah.
also because of learning from others, and listening.
What experience have you learned from, what have you learned from others, and what experiences have taught you about the value and the importance of setting goals?
What have well, personally,
Yeah.
I know that I've set different goals as far as physical. Okay,
Okay.
right now we've talked about this about competing in cycling, triathlon, as well as running and different physical activities. And I have set different benchmarks for that. So, you know, in that aspect, I see a great value in it, um, because also I think you like it. I think that having, you know, whether it be a journal or a some sort of written, whether it's digital or physically written in a book or whatnot, track record, you can look over of different things that have, okay, so I my time was this much faster here because I ate this way at this time, or I didn't eat it this way or this time. Different things
You
like that.
get to see it correlations, how one thing
Correct.
it works with another.
But I do because I listen to a lot of books. I would love to read them, but when you're driving 2 hours, it's easier to listen and safer. Um, I listen to a lot of books that talk about overcoming and your mind and how strong your mind is. Whereas you can overanalyze something, you can look at too much data and almost pre-program your mind to kind of cut off physically. So like if I go, okay, so my marathon, my 26.2 miles best time is X, then if I pace this and this, and mentally you're putting these limits on each one where your body will shut down almost at each moment.
Well, yeah, that's interesting that you should say that. I mean, there's a couple of things that come to my mind when I listen to you say that. One is the expression paralysis by analysis.
Yeah, yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And the other, though, is what I was thinking of kind of talking about a little in a little bit more depth, which is how if we have expectations, expectations are based on things that we've already experienced.
Yeah.
So if we have expectations, the chances are pretty damn good that what's going to happen is the same shit, different day, more of the same. And that's exactly what you just got through saying. And I think the value of not having expectations, I mean, I'm not putting down having goals, but I think that there's a fine line between goals and expectations. And expectations, as I say, are based on what we already know. Not having expectations opens up a whole realm of new possibilities that we may never have experienced yet.
Well, just like with your move to Hawaii and
Yeah.
everything, if you, like you said, if you sat there and actually wrote out
Tried to plan it
a,
out. Yeah.
you first off, you ended up living at a different place than you originally projected. You have different furniture and different everything, and you're working at an establishment that you knew nothing about.
I didn't even know it existed. I didn't even know it existed. And
Right.
my intention was never to work for an employer again.
Right. But
So
you were open.
if that was going to, so if that were my expectation, then as you say, my mind might have just shut down when the idea was planted in my head that I might want to send a resume to these people, and because it seemed to the person who suggested it that it would be a good fit.
Right.
But if I had planned out my life to in that way, I might not have even I might not have even sent the resume. I might have said no, I'll never work for anybody, as an employee again.
Right.
And I'd have deprived myself of one of the most fulfilling experiences of my life so far.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
eh,
So there's a fine, like you're saying, there's a fine line
right,
between
because you
goals and expectations.
you have to you have to have a diagram, I would say, right? In a sense,
No,
but
how do you
but
have to?
not well, I see when I think of a diagram, I think of it
Yeah.
loosely.
Okay.
Loosely. Okay,
Okay.
so, like, we'll use your trip, for example.
Yeah, yeah.
You made the decision that that's what you wanted to do. You visited Hawaii, and you loved it so much that you came back 2 points. You came back and made the decision that you wanted to live there.
Yep.
And then once you made that decision, you didn't plan everything and put the expectation that it has to happen this way, but you still planned the transportation of your vehicle. You
Sure.
still, um, started to research a little bit to see in a general area of where you wanted to go. So what I'm getting at is you did have a framework, but you didn't have a
It wasn't set in
strict.
stone. It was
Yeah. You were open to the flexibility. This is the end game, was to move there, but you were flexible in how it would all play out from start to finish.
okay.
And
Okay. Okay. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Finish.
because we deal with this a lot, especially with I mean, I talk to salespeople every single day,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I see them month in and month out still come in right in the same number every single month, right? Whether it's, car sales, right? So whether they're 15 cars or 10 cars, they're always right around that same number. And I feel that a lot of it has to do with they put
You
that.
feel or you believe?
Yeah, I feel because I think
You think?
I think that it is because they put this number in their head. They say, "Okay, I have to hit 12 cars." And it's almost like, and I see it. There are some salespeople that I've visited over the past few days that they're at their 12 units, but there's still 4 or 5 days left in the month. And it's almost like they shut down. They may not consciously say, "Okay, I'm done," but the way they approach each day and each opportunity changes once they kind of hit that
That
that comfort number.
magic number. Yeah.
And it's fascinating to me to try and learn how to help them overcome that.
Well, so how do you try to help them overcome
I
that?
don't know. That's why I'm asking a very dear friend of mine.
All right. Okay. So in my experience, there's nothing more valuable than attention. And so you can exactly what you just said to me, you can say to them, John, I noticed this, and I've been noticing that there's a pattern going on here. And, I'm curious about it. It strikes me as kind of interesting that you seem to, once you've reached the number that is comfortable for you in terms of sales, even though there's another 5 days left in the month, you don't seem to do as well on those 5 days as you did in the preceding 25 days.
Right.
What do you think of that? Have you ever noticed that, John? What's your take on that? Because it's odd, don't you think? That's like all that is I mean, because really, Bill, I'm sure that we all have every answer that we need inside of ourselves. But the best thing we can do for each other is to be curious about what we notice going on with each other.
I like that.
You know, I've been watching this, and I notice every time I say the word spaghetti, you twitch. What's going on?
Spaghetti.
You know what I mean? But no, no, yeah, no, but you know what I'm saying? It's just to draw because when you're, it's a difference between subjective and objective. We
Right.
really can't be objective about ourselves. We try to be, but inevitably we're subjective. You know, we filter it through our own sense of who we are and what we think of ourselves, and but somebody outside of us can have an objective take on something and just put it out there, like, it's so interesting. I wonder if you've ever noticed blah blah blah.
Right.
And then the person can take it or leave it and develop a sense of their own personal curiosity about that behavior, and maybe begin to watch what goes on for them on day 26 and day 27 and day 28, and notice
See?
their thought processes.
See, I like that. See, that's what I want to
Yeah, I know.
learn as a trainer, a
Hmm.
coach, and
Hmm.
and the more I keep doing this and our discussions and the people that we have spoken to,
Hmm.
and are going to speak with,
Yep.
it's amazing. And now that I have my coach coaching me, I know athletics, but I don't know the specifics of what I want to accomplish. And bringing a good coach on with me has really opened my eyes to how important a someone that's very specific to that what you want to accomplish or goals you want to reach. It really makes a difference. And and just like you just stated that, the salesperson, or we are very subjective, right, to ourselves. We're not objective, and we need that other person to say, no, 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 this is how you're doing it. What's going on? Let's talk about it, and pointing out these things. But then also the person has to be open.
But of course the person has to be open. I mean, you can offer a person a present, but it's up to that person whether they're in a place where they want to receive it.
Yeah.
And the most important thing, so that's again, I hate to keep repeating myself, but the rules of life: show up, be present, tell the
Yeah.
truth, and don't be attached to outcomes. And this is where you as a trainer can be most effective. You can offer this observation to somebody, but the more attached you are to their taking your advice, to doing X, Y, and Z with what you're offering them, the less likely it is that they're going to do it.
Well, that's why I try to approach every single day as being there and just sharing what I see, what my observations are, and
Yep.
not having a predisposed uh, assumption that,
Right.
oh, they're going to listen or they're not going to listen. Because I I
You
see I see a lot of, I have a lot of clients that I've had for multiple years now, and I see the same team of salespeople over and over again a lot of times, and it's amazing, and I love it that each time there I get a different experience with each and every one of them.
Yep.
And I always say, I talk about it a lot, and I go, you're going to hear me say this a lot, and some people are going to hear it when I say it on a Monday, and some people are going to hear it when I say it next Tuesday. It, but I'm always going to. This is what I'm seeing. This
This
is
is
what I'm
what I
saying.
believe. This is what is
Yeah.
my truth, and I'm going to share my truth with you. It's sowing seeds in any job, in any situation where you're interacting with people with the goal of supporting them to be the best that they can be. You have to understand that you're sowing seeds. Sometimes you sow seeds and they fall on very fertile ground, and they, like the person that listens to you on Monday.
Right.
Okay, seed takes root and it flourishes immediately. Sometimes it falls on slightly rockier ground, and that's fine. And it doesn't have the impact until the following Friday. But that's okay. And sometimes the seed falls on barren ground. And to not be attached to any of those outcomes, but just understand that your job is simply to tell your truth, to witness what's going on, and to see if you can spark somebody else's interest in themselves in doing that, attention to themselves, and curiosity about themselves.
Yeah, I love
That's all
that.
you need to do. That's all any of us really need to do.
I
And
love
it
that.
goes so far.
Yes, because so I took a different approach, and with Marlena, who Marlena was on an episode. and we spoke with her about relationships. But I took an approach with her sales, and she sets appointments and whatnot. But she also runs a department, and we looked at the past 60 days, so September and October, what she did, how she did it, and all we did was just talk about, you know, using the information that she's already given us and evaluating it, and just kind of opening her eyes to that. Oh, well, if I just make a couple more attempts an hour, based on these numbers, then things will change and increase. And it's I love that aha moment, but it's important, and I'm sure you see it all the time where you feel like like you've already said it already here. I feel like I'm going to repeat myself again. But that's the consistency that I feel we all need, people in our lives that are willing to keep repeating it, because
Because it seems like the right thing to say at the time.
yeah,
See,
and
that's
we
what,
can be hard-headed.
well, people can all be hard headed because, I mean, but it's okay as long
Yeah,
as we don't have a personal investment in the response we get. It doesn't matter to us how many times we have to say something or how many times it seems to us that we are repeating ourselves.
right.
Because that's what patience is about. It's about not being attached to the person being anything but what they are, and knowing that on the fourth repetition, something might crack open in them and they might understand what is being said in a completely new way. Our job is to keep speaking our truth. That's all, just that. And not to overthink it, but to just be open to what, for me anyway, the thing that makes me most useful, I think, to other people is that I have never got an agenda. I have never got a goal. I have never got a plan for how a session is going to go or what I'm going to say. I sit with them and hold the space with respect for that person and their process and say what seems appropriate for me to say in that moment. I have never got an idea what that's going to be. Never. Never. I never
I
know.
know.
Sometimes stuff comes out of my mouth and I'm like going, "Oh my God, did I just really say that? Oh geez."
Not you, no.
No, never, never.
I've never experienced that
Oh,
one.
I know. I know.
No,
But
well, I'm glad. I was really looking forward to speaking with JF again, and I understand, and we have all moved, so I definitely understand that, and I'm
yep,
glad
yep,
that he's there taking care of what he needs to take
yep,
care of.
yep, absolutely.
Um, but I am very happy that we get the hit a left turn, and have our conversation, and
And
it,
be flexible and be
yeah,
flexible. This is an opportunity for us to illustrate and demonstrate for ourselves, first and foremost, and for anybody that happens to be listening to us, the value in not being attached to outcomes. We could have pulled our hair out.
yeah,
We only learned a few hours ago that JF was not going to be able to join us. We could have gone into a tailspin, but we're like, okay, that's
all right,
cool.
let's
We'll
do
make that
this.
work. Let's flow. Let it flow.
Yeah,
You know,
so I
be
definitely enjoy
flexible.
it.
Yeah, yeah. So,
And so everyone look forward to JF being on the program next week. I will, in fact, over the course of this week, I will post not only this episode, but after this episode, I will repost the episode that we had before with JF.
oh,
So
that's great. Yeah, that
so
would be
everybody can get back and a little
a refresher.
refresher.
Hmm.
And also, we have some merchandise. I know that you and I talked about a little bit, Gina.
You already
And
did. You already went ahead with that.
well, I have the logo information and everything. So I'm going to get a couple one-offs,
Okay.
hats and shirts, and
Okay.
I'll show you. And if we'll figure it out from there. And
Okay.
then if
Awesome.
people are interested, so we'll see how it goes. It'll be fun.
Awesome. 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 Yeah. I guess, yeah, oh yeah, I wanted to, I don't know if we'd mentioned this before, but a woman that is sharing my house with me right at the moment is a very, very talented acupuncturist.
Yes.
And her name is Tiana. Her name calls herself Tia.
Tia.
She's the most talented acupuncturist, and I've had a lot of acupuncture in my life. She's easily the most talented and knowledgeable acupuncturist that I've ever come across. And so she's excited beyond words to be, to have been invited to come on the show. And in that vein, along that line, I'd like to really invite anybody who's listening to get in touch with us to talk about maybe coming on the show. We welcome everybody, as long as roughly the theme is about getting focused, about being the best that you can be, and there's a million different roads that lead to Rome. So
Yeah,
we don't
definitely.
restrict, who we'll have as guests.
Right. So anyone, and we're also going to be opening up, a live streaming for our episodes in the near future. So,
What does that
um,
mean? Does that mean that
so that
people will
means that
be able?
people can chime in live with us. So like
Oh,
right now, so we're recording,
yeah,
and if for anyone listening, Gina and I can see each other, and we can open this up to where everyone can see it while we record it.
yeah,
We've become very consistent with the time of when we
yeah,
record.
yeah.
So moving forward, uh, if we can coordinate it, we will definitely open the live streaming up. So just need to do a few tweaks on their YouTube page and whatnot.
Excellent,
So
Bill.
make sure that people can find it. And then, if you have the time while we're recording, wherever you are in the world, different time zones and everything, you can jump on and watch us and actually message in, and we can probably field some live interaction from people. So it's
Awesome.
exciting. We're growing, and we want to
Really
grow
awesome.
with everyone, and
Yeah.
you know, and please
Yay.
spread the word, tell others, share us, whatever you need to do. We
Bill,
invite everyone.
I just, you are, I am so grateful for your vision and for the fact that you made your vision. You've made this vision, you've made it happen. I'm so in awe of you having done that.
Well, I had some a little assistance with my objective friend. I don't know if you know her, but her name is Gina. She definitely uh, lets me know, what's in the moment, as I'm sure everyone's experienced on our episodes. But I love it. I love the challenge, and I love that you have opened this up, because I'll tell you, I this is huge for me. It's a big step to put myself out here, because I definitely do exactly what we talk to people about not doing and working on. I work on it every single day. The predisposed assumption of what the result will be, instead of just living right now. And I enjoy it. I enjoy that every day that's there for me, but I also enjoy the fact that I overcome it, and I know that it's always there. I'm always dealing with it. It gets
Well, and
easier, but it's always there.
but you're more and more recognizing that you're not restricted to one way of being. You're recognizing that you have an infinite number of ways to be, and you can choose whichever one is most supportive to you. What a beautiful realization that is. And
Yeah, I
and
love it.
if you don't always choose the one that's most supportive of you, then you recognize that and you don't choose that one again.
Yeah, you make a left turn, right?
Yeah.
So with that, we will end our episode this week. I know that Gina has another commitment that she has to get to, and I have to go swimming because I need my training.
Swimming. I have to go
Yes.
swimming.
So, and it's like 50 degrees out here, so it's going to be fun.
Oh,
But
yay. Have fun, darling.
it's what I
I know.
enjoy it. Once I'm
That's
in
what
there,
you're doing.
there's no
Good.
other place I want to be. So,
Awesome. That's great.
thank you everyone, and we'll see you next week with JF, and I will see you next week, Gina.
Yes, you will.
Bye, babe.
Bye.